Okay. So today we will see the what is called as the Uttara Narayana Bhaga. Uttara Narayana. So the Purusha Suktam is essentially the main Purusha Suktam is about 18 verses, right? The ones that we have seen till now. And then that is called as the Purva Bhaga, Purva Narayana Bhaga. Then there is an Uttara Narayana Bhaga, which is 6 verses, which is starting from Adbhyav Prithivya. What is this? Sorry. Adbhya Sambhuta Prithivya Rasa Acha. So starting from here, there are 6 verses. And there are a few more verses that gets added later, but that is from the Vishnu Suktam. Usually people chant Purusha Suktam, Vishnu Suktam, and Narayana Suktam in a sequence. So some of these verses can get a little associated with the other Sukta. But Purusha Suktam as a main body of work is this 18 plus 6. And again, the 6 is slightly different is because there is a slight difference in terms of the nature in which it is approaching the subject. And it's probably taken from a different section of the Vedic, the Vedas. From the Vedas, it's probably taken from a different section. But whoever has brought it together has realized that the Purusha that is spoken of in the 6 verses is the same Purusha. It is spoken of as the primordial or the cosmic consciousness. Because remember, in the Vedic literature, 25% of the Rig Veda is attributed to Indra. 25% of the Rig Veda is attributed. 250 verses of 1,000 odd verses are attributed to Indra Bhagavan. So if there are such verses, obviously those are not referring to the Purusha. So there are some verses like these, there are suktas like these, which refer to the Purusha as the cosmic consciousness, the primordial consciousness from which everything has emerged, including the Indra that you're praying to has emerged from that Purusha. So that is how some of these verses have emerged, and which is why they've kind of brought it together. So the Purusha Sukta is this speaking about this Purusha who is even the progenitor of Indra himself. Indra, Varuna, Vayu. Indra, Varuna, Agni, Soma. These are the 4 major deities of the Vedic praise. Praises go to these 4 deities, major 4 deities. So this Uttara Purva Narayana and Uttara Narayana has come together. Now we've seen the Purva Narayana. Some people tend to close it with the Purva Narayana, but by and large, the Uttara Narayana is also added into the chant, and then we chant that also. Now, how does this begin here? The Uttara Narayana begins as Adbhya Sambhuta Prithivye Rasa Acha Vishwakarmana Samavartatadhi Tasya Tvashta Vidadhadrupameti Tat Purushasya Vishwamajana Agre. Adbhya Sambhuta Prithivye Rasat Cha. What it means is, from water was produced earth and the other elements. And like Vishwakarma, Vishwakarma is referred to as the divine the divine, he is what? The divine builder, the divine construction engineer is Vishwakarma, right? Most of the divine the divine or the Divya Astras are also created by Vishwakarma. Like, for example, the Sudarshana Chakra is created by Vishwakarma. And then it has gone through various hands and then lands into Vishnu's or Narayana's hand. So in that way, many such things have been created by Vishwakarma. He is considered as the divine constructor. So he's constructed many residential palaces. Manidvipa, for example, It's possibly constructed by Vishwakarma. Like that, right? So here, this Purusha is referred to as this Vishwakarma, from who is essentially the creator. So if you're saying Vishwakarma is the creator, he is just a instrument. He is just an instrument. The original creator is the Purusha, because from him everything has come out. Okay. Now, very interesting here, you see Adbhyah Sambhuta Prithivya Rasa Cha. So it says from Apaha, from Apas, which is water, came earth and everything else. So what is, now we've been talking about saying, oh, the world creation came from sound. From sound, the creation came out. But now we are talking about water as the source of creation. So what is the difference here? See, we need to look at this in a slightly, I mean, both are true. When we say some Upanishads or some, this thing will say, Akashat Vayuh, Vayor Agni, Agnir Abhyaf Prithvi. Then from Prithvi came Oshadha, Oshadha, Vanaspati, Vanaspati, then came Anna, Annam, Annam, Annat Purushaha. So it goes like that, right? So there it is talking about space as the first element, which is Akashat Vayuh. And what is the Tanmatra of space, or the property of space, is Shabda. So Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasagandha. So in this sequence, we say that water comes as the fourth element actually. Right? Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasa. And then here, Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha. Right? But here he is saying Adbhyas Sambhuta Prithivya Rasa Acha. From water came the earth and everything else. So the difference we need to perceive here is, from Shabda, Akasha, or sound came creation, while from water came life. So we understand the difference? From Shabda or from sound came all creation, but from water comes life, which means all that is in existence, the existential nature of everything here is sound. The Big Bang. From the Big Bang came the whole creation, right? But creation did not transform itself into life until the element of water came into play. So water is the source of life. Water is the source from which life started. Creation would have begun much earlier. So which is why, if you see, I've made a reference to this particular series in Netflix called Life on Earth. So you get a chance to watch it. It's an 8-episode series. Very beautifully, he has narrated how life began 4 billion years ago on this planet. However, creation began, according to physics, creation began 14 billion years ago. Right? And also in our in Bhagavatam and all, when they talk about Pralaya, at the end of Pralaya, what remains is the Milky Ocean, or the only water remains, which means that the potential or the possibility of life germinating again continues to remain. So that is why Pralaya, after Pralaya, how does Srishti happen again? It happens in the same water. From that water, the Srishti happens again. And this has actually been depicted in this series, Life on Earth series, where they show how after creation for many, 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 many millions of years, there's nothing on this earth, no life form. But 4 billion years ago, suddenly a small something starts growing. How do you differentiate between matter and life? Matter is complete jada. Although it is consciousness, it is jada. It does not reflect the consciousness even a little bit. But life reflects consciousness, even though in the smallest way. If an object can will and move, then there is life. If it can move in the direction of something, there is life. If it can grow, if it grows and moves, which means there is life. This happens in water. This happened, how it began is in water. And from there, life came to earth. It's very beautifully shown also there. So for many billions of years, life continued on water. You will have different kinds of creatures that will get formed. First, it will be like a plant. The plant will be something that will consume food from the outside. The plant will be like an insect. It will be stationary in one place, but then something other small whatever is floating there, it will try to reach out and pull and then suck it in. There are creatures of that kind which look exactly like a plant, but then they reach out and grab their food and eat, but they can't move. And then slowly, then creatures that can move started getting formed and created. And then you had the other sea animals, the sea creatures, the fishes, the this, that, and the other. And then this continued to happen for many millions of years. And there used to be pralaya in there also, which means complete life was annihilated due to some kind of heating or some kind of temperature drop in the ocean. It'll go completely, like it'll become like ice or very cold, and life will not be able to sustain, and all life will go away. But suddenly something will come from somewhere. So this cycle kept repeating in the oceans, um, in the water bodies, or essentially oceans. At that time, it was a pretty large ocean on Earth, right? Then life started moving into Earth. So then the animals started, or whatever, some kind of fish or turtles and things like that, alligators and these amphibious animals, creatures started coming onto Earth, which were both land and water animals. And then from there, terrestrial animals, and then from there, aerial animals, birds and all of those. So creation, looking at the way Purusha Suktam is describing, it is pretty much in alignment with what we figured out through research, to say that life has actually begun from water. And it's interesting for us also, we as human beings, where are we born from? Where does the sperm and egg come together? Where does the whole zygote get formed and the egg is fertilized? After the egg is fertilized, the zygote is formed and the life grows. It is all in the mother's womb, which is filled with water. So for us, where does life begin? It begins in water. Adbhya sambhuta. Then we come into land. Prithivye rasatcha. Then we come into land, and then we have everything else created from there. So if you associate it to our own origin, our own physical origin, our own origin of this body-mind complex, it is nurtured in water. It originates in water. It is nurtured in water. Hence, water is the element that is the source of life. And which is why we are also, if you notice, if you go back to how civilizations were set up, they were always set up by alongside water bodies. After humans started moving away from being hunter gatherers, where they were just killing animals and trying to consume animals, when they started to move, saying that we can do something, we can grow food, we can make our own food instead of trying to go behind animals, because there are seasons when animals are not available, they're hibernating. So where do you go hunt for food? Becomes very difficult. So they figured out, let's grow our own food, and that is when they started moving towards water bodies. So most of the large civilizations, the Indian Indus Valley civilization around the Sindhu river, right, Ganga, around the whole banks of Ganga, you'll see the whole Ganga that flows from the northwest all the way to the east. Gangas, the civilizations are all set up around the river. Their whole Aryavrata of the Mahabharata was set up, the civilization was set up around the water bodies there. Likewise, even in your Egyptian civilization, Nile was the river of life. Nile, the meaning of Nile is the river of life. So all civilizations are set up around the Nile, so on and so forth. So essentially, most of these civilizations were set up by water bodies, because water is the source of our life. We are also born in water. So what we're referring here is Adhyah Sambhuta Prithivye Rasach Vishwakarmana Samavartatadhi. So from this came all of this creation, and like Vishwakarma, this Purusha created all he created all forms from here. And what it says is Tasya Twashta. Twashta is a carpenter. So in the form of a carpenter, he established all forms. Vidadhat Rupam Eti. Vidadhat means to establish. Rupam Eti. All the rupas and the forms were established like a carpenter, like how a carpenter creates out of the only raw material he has is wood, and he has his tools. So out of that, how he creates all different forms. In the same way, Purusha created all forms from water got created earth, and from earth he created all of these forms. Tat Purushasya Vishwamajanam Agre. Now this Purusha we are talking about, from which everything got created, he himself is Ajanam. Ajanam means is unborn. He is unborn, and he comes before Agre, before everything. So from the Purusha came everything. So from Purusha, from the element of water, life started forming, and life came onto earth and came onto what we see as life, because this Purusha, as a carpenter, sculpted all different forms. But this Purusha who did all of this is not subject to creation. He comes before that, Agre. He was there even in the beginning, and he is unborn. He is unborn, and he is Aja. So that Purusha, from that came all of this creation. Okay, so that is the first verse, or the 19th or the first verse of the Uttaranarayana. Then he goes on to say, Vedaham etam purusham mahantam adityavarnam tamasaf parastat tamevam vidwan amrita iha bhavati nanyaf pantha vidyate yanaya. This is Vedaham, Veda aham etam purusham. Know that I am that Purusha, Purusham Mahantam, Aditya Varnam Tamasaf Parastat, as brilliant as the sun, or more, or even more brighter than the sun. And I am, what is this? I remove the darkness that is there. Tam evam vidwan amrita iha bhavati. The one who knows me as this, vidwan knows me as this, in this very life, iha bhavati, he gets amrita. Amrita iha bhavati. He gets liberation or gets this understanding. The one who gets this understanding in this life gets liberation in this life. Nanyaf pantha vidyate yanaya. There is no other path to liberation. There is no other path to moksha. Ayanaya. No other path to moksha. Ayana means, ayana has two meanings. Ayana means the place of residence, where you're residing. Or ayana also means the way to something. So Narayana means what? Where Nara rests, which means the cosmic Nara, whose this Purusha is resting. That is Narayana. It also means that the one who is resting within every Nara. Nara means, if you take Nara as a human being, in every man, woman, child, the one who is resting, the one who is Ayana, is Narayana. Or Ayana also means the path to him. The Uttarayana, Dakshinayana. We use that also as Ayana, right? Ayana also means the path to that ultimate. The path and the destination is him. Essentially, see, which is very interesting in Sanskritam. Some of these words are so very interestingly formed and used, is to show that the destination and the path are the same. What is the path to Narayana? It is Narayana himself. What is the path to Krishna? Krishna himself. Which means you use Krishna as the path to reach who? Reach Krishna. But the question is, when I am already in the journey of Krishna, where am I reaching Krishna? But that is the idea. What aspect of Krishna do you get exposed to and do you understand is the journey. And when all of those aspects are revealed to you, then you are at the destination. Which means you start off holding on to. So the idea is you start off holding on to the destination itself as the path. So it's not like there is something else as the path, and then it leads you to destination. Which means what? What you want is what you need to hold on from now. This is the interesting thing about spiritual sadhana. Different from the other sadhana that we do. In other sadhana, we do something else, or you do something to get something else. I study to get a job. I work hard to get a promotion. I impress my boss so that I get more bonus. So I'm doing something to get something else. But in the Adhyatma Marga, in spiritual sadhana, you always do that which you want to achieve. If I want to understand truth, if I want to understand the ultimate truth, we start living truthfully. It is not that I can live whichever way I want and then I say I want truth. I want to understand truth. That will not work. If I want joy, happiness, I start living it now. It is not something of the future, which is why Jiddu Krishnamurti has mentioned, has made a very beautiful proclamation. He says, future is now. Very profound statement. So this, when the Veda is saying, Nanyaf Pantha Vidyate Yanaya, which means this ayana or the destination that you're looking for, to reach this destination, there is no other path. There is no other path means what? This is the only path. Again, as we spoke last time, each one will pick it up, each faith will pick it up and say that this is the only path. What we are meaning to say is, whichever is your destination, it could be Devi, it could be Narayana, it could be Krishna, it could be Shiva, it could be Ganapati, it could be Kumara. Whatever you're holding as your highest ideal, the path to that is through that ideal only. Nanyaf pantha yanaya vidyate yanaya. There is no other path different from, you can't say that I want to attain to Ganesha and I want to understand Ganesha and I'm doing something else. It has to be everything towards regarding Ganesha only. I have to do Ganapati Atharva Shirsha, I have to do Ganesha Pancharatna, I have to do Ganapati Tarpanam, I have to do Ganesha this, Ganesha that. I have to chant Ganesha mantra. So what is happening? I am using Ganesha as the tool for what? To reach that truth, which is Ganesha. Because that experience, the final experience that we are seeking, or we are wanting something that we think we are not there and we want to get there, only that can take you in that direction. If we want moksha, if we are all doing adhyatma sadhana for moksha, we should start feeling liberated now. Only then we will understand when moksha comes, we know, oh, this is moksha. Otherwise, how will you know what is moksha? Moksha will just be in the textbook. We'll think that I've done everything, but I am not getting moksha. You'll not get moksha because you're not feeling, you're not experiencing it. You're not working with moksha right now. You're not working with what it means to be liberated. How many of us have actually sat down and contemplated and thought about what it means to be liberated? Liberated from what? That chintanam is important. That process of vichara, this is Vedanta vichara. What is moksha? What really is moksha? What am I seeking liberation from? If suddenly my family goes away, says, okay, I liberate you, go. ஐயோ அடுத்த நாள் பொரிச்சு கூட்டு கிடைக்காதே. Where is moksha? Moksha is not in just suddenly because I'm feeling stressed now, I get away and I want to go away someplace. After 5 days, you'll still figure out what to do with your life. You'll be in the same struggle. So what you want to achieve, you have to experience that as a reality now. You may understand it entirely or not, but at least that is the direction in which you have to go. That is the ayana. To reach Narayana, you have to start experiencing Narayana and what is Narayana right now. And this path takes you to the ultimate understanding.
இதோட கொரோலரி தான் பிரம்மவித் பிரம்மைவ பவதி.
Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati.
அதோட கொரோலரி.
Right.
So
That is the right.
the path, the goal and the path are the same.
Are the same.
The destination is also the same. So once you reach there, you become
You become that. You recognize that it has always been the same. Within yourself, you recognize that the destination is not different than what I was doing. See, this moksha or liberation is not something like jumping off a cliff and then flying in the air. It is not like that. It's like, wow, I feel so. No, it is not. It is not a sudden turn of events like that. Unless you prepare yourself sufficiently well in that, you will not know what it is. Like I told you one instance where the guru comes and tells, I will give you moksha, and if you don't know what it is and you're not prepared to receive it, it'll just be water down the drain. He'll pour it on you and it'll just go down the drain. So we have to work on understanding what it is that we are trying to achieve. During the whole sadhana in the Adhyatma Marga, extremely important is to keep the eye on the goal, that I am trying to get to that understanding, but I have to figure out what it means right now. If I want liberation from suffering, I should start understanding what is suffering. What is it that is causing suffering? Why am I suffering? So I have to deal and understand and process all of that right now. Right? So that is the verse that it says, Vedaha metam purusham mahantam adityavarnam tamasaf parastat, like the bright sun drives away all darkness of understanding. One who understands this Purusham is the greatest Purusha. Tamevam vidvan amrita iha bhavati. By this knowledge, you will attain to liberation right here, right now. Nanyaf pantha vidyate yanaya. There is no other way to this. This is the only way. Understand, the way is the destination. The destination is the way right now, right here. So this is what the Purusha Suktam is saying. Okay, so I hope each of these verses prompt us to do further nididhyasanam, mananam nididhyasanam. It should prompt us to go back and start thinking that, how am I living? How am I thinking? What am I thinking? What is it? What am I processing? I've told you there is a difference between thinking constantly and vichara. Vichara is in the direction of the adhyatma. In spiritual pursuit, you are focused, paying attention to the analysis. Chumma thinking, I am also thinking, the mind will keep going all over the place. This is not about thinking. Vichara is contemplation, introspection. Introspection is very different than thinking. Okay, this is something that we need to understand. Introspection is with complete attention and focus. You are doing it with a particular purpose, so that you understand the truth of where thinking is rising, what is happening to me, all of that. So the whole process, right? So we close here today.
I think this is the only destination where you don't need to travel.
There is no traveling required, correct?
Then our destination is within here.
Yeah.
Only thing you have to get revealed.
Iha bhavati. Iha bhavati. It is here.
Yeah, Bhavati.
True. Om kayena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakrite svabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanaayeti samarpayami sadashivayeti samarpayami jagadambikaayeti samarpayami sadgurunathayeti samarpayami. Hari Om Tat Sat Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om, everybody. See you next week. Next week is the start of Navaratri. So we'll see how we do this. We have to figure out the availabilities and times, and evening everybody will be busy with something. So I was thinking of possible 3 days some satsang on um, Matrika Mantra Pushpamala Stavam. So this is a mantra. This is a 21 verses actually. This is a composition of Adi Shankara. Matrika Mantra Pushpamala Stavam. So this, he has created this as he has taken the Panchadasakshari mantra and he has created one verse for each one of that. So if this is for, he's created it in a way where you can visualize Devi through the verse and do all the Shodasha Upachara. You can think of Devi, and he has done it. Every letter of the verse starts with the first letter of the Panchadasakshari or Shodashi. So he has created it that way. So my mother was suggesting that we do that if possible. She's been asking for about a year now. But I thought this Navaratri, if possible, if Ambal allows for it, we'll see. 3 days will take up, because there are 15, 21. Either we start, or somehow we at least start the chant, learn the chant and the meaning of it. We start it. If you're not able to complete it during Navaratri, that's okay. Or at least maybe we'll chant it, start looking at it. So we'll see how it goes. Even if you look at the first verse, you'll realize that it's a description of how Devi is, where she is, all of that. And gives a very beautiful visualization. So mentally, you can do a full puja, upacharam to Devi through this shloka. So we'll see as she wills and wants. Hari Om.